Hi everybody, welcome back to School of Scarlett. Today I have another message for you. So I don't know if you've ever felt a little bit of shame or judgment or even like the sense of like perfectionism coming up when it comes to high vibe. When you hear about, keeping a positive energy, positive vibe, or, just being positive in general, it seems like it's something that we hear about a lot. That for our reality to change, for us to experience the things that we want, we have to keep this high vibe. And I want to kind of reframe that here for you today, because we all go through things that are totally natural in the human experience that bring us through sadness, through anger, through many different emotions that wouldn't necessarily be considered high vibe. But the way that I see it, they are high vibe. They're just a vibe of a different kind. So we can't always abide in joy. That would be wonderful, but we are all going through different things at different times. We will all experience losses. We will all experience, changes in our life. We will all experience sadness at some point. It's totally natural. And for most people, this happens throughout the day, that these emotions come and go. And so it's totally natural. Also, our body oftentimes has things that happen to it, like hormones and things like that, that really change the way that we experience things. So we might experience sadness one day for absolutely no reason, or we might be feeling something in the collective energy based on things that are happening in the news, things that are happening in our lives that we're seeing happen around us. They can kind of paint a cloud over our emotions and the way that we're feeling, that creates a different kind of vibe. But I want to talk about big energy. So big energy can be found in anger. Big energy can be found in sadness. Big energy can be found in any of these other kind of emotions that are more on the other side of the spectrum to joy. So I know that many of us think that nothing can come of that. But some of the greatest creations have come out of when people are angry. That oftentimes fuels change, oftentimes fuels some sort of action in people. And I know that for me, anytime that I can remember in the past that there's been some anger come up, a lot of times there has been a change. There has been more energy that fueled something that I wasn't really happy about. So I wanted something different. So we have to experience these emotions. But what I'm going to be talking about here is grounding that energy. Because if we just feel anger and we just lash out at everybody and we feel bad and we don't really ground our energy, that energy can be lost. It won't be for anything. But if we can channel it into something that would make a change, if we can channel it into something that would help us to ground it better, whether it's just within our own being or doing something in our physical reality, we can really benefit from that energy just as much as if we were in joy all of the time. So sadness creates depth, and a lot of beautiful songs, movies, poetry, any of that has come from sadness, So sadness is also another one that, if we feel that big energy of sadness, we can really ground ourselves into different things, whether that's writing, whether that's painting. Maybe you like to exercise a little bit or walk or contemplate, Oftentimes with anger too, there's a lot of movement that can happen. Maybe you want to go work out and get some of that energy out. Dance, express yourself in physical ways is also another thing that, you can do to ground your big energy, and it actually benefit you in many ways. So we don't have to really hold a lot of shame and guilt when we feel these lower emotions, you could call them if you want to classify them that way. But all emotions are actually neutral. They just come and go. They're very natural to our human experience, just like thoughts come and go, just like the clouds come and go. It's totally natural. We just need to know how to work with that, because again, if we're experiencing sadness and we allow that to take over us rather than grounding us, we are feeling like, sadness is taking over us, and we really, can't get out of bed. We can't do anything. We begin to see everything with this cloud of sadness. That's when we have a little bit of trouble. So if we can ground it into something like writing in a journal, or, singing about it, or, any of these things, drawing a picture, any of these things can be helpful to us to really take that energy and use that big energy for our own benefit. So grounding energy is almost like a lightning rod. There's all this, lightning happening and everything. The lightning rod grounds the energy is what I'm seeing. So it's using something within you, your own consciousness, to ground that energy rather than letting it take you. And if you let it take you, there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but oftentimes that's where we get lost, and that's where there's shame and guilt afterwards, where otherwise we could really use this energy to ground it. We all go through different things in life. I know that I'm talking to a friend, she's had a baby, and there's a lot of sleepless nights, and I can remember that time where we're not getting enough sleep because we have a new baby, or maybe there's something going on with our hormones or our life. And there's other times that we are depleted in life in different ways. But I can remember all of those stages in life, and I was still able to do things. I was still able to do the things that were in my heart, because I was able to ground that big energy. But if we don't ground that big energy, we can really find ourselves in this kind of dark hole that we can't get out of. And I know that because I've worked with a lot of people over the years, counseling and working with people that fall into some of these holes and helping them to get out and realize the truth of these emotions. They're just totally natural to us. We don't have to feel shame or guilt that they're happening. We have to see them for what they are and ground them in a way that could be beneficial to us while still, taking care of ourselves and loving ourselves. So these big energy emotions, they come through just like weather. Some days, it's a sunny day and we get beautiful sunshines and all of that. Some days it rains, right? And some days, it's cold and, dry and rigid and all of this. And then other days, it might be like really humid and hot and sticky. And so weather changes just periodically, and it happens. There's nothing right or wrong about it. It just happens. Weather changes, and that's the same with our emotions. Throughout the days, throughout the weeks, throughout the years, we are going to experience changes in our emotions. We're not always going to be high vibe. We're not always going to feel like, super happy. And I know for myself, I experience a range of emotions, and that's totally natural to go through. And it's something that you just need to learn to work with, grounding your big energy, however it comes through. And, taking advantage of anger, taking advantage of sadness, taking advantage of, even anxiety and stuff like that, to be with yourself, to sit with it, to feel it, to ground it in ways that are, positive, in a way that are beneficial to you, rather than in a way that are harmful to you, or, that create a negative thought cycle or hurt you in some way. So in what way can you ground your big energy? And for a lot of people, that's simply going outside, being in nature, creating something. And so you can see that many artists also have really channeled their big energy into their artwork, into the work that they create. And so you can think of like painters and artists like Frida Kahlo. She went through some very tragic things, and I love knowing the history and biography of a lot of artists, whether they're painters or singers or rappers or actors, any of that. I love knowing their history, because what you will come to find out is that a lot of the times their biggest and most powerful creations came from these big energies that oftentimes weren't very happy vibes. They were oftentimes very kind of low vibration vibes that just caused so much emotion, but they were able to ground it in a way that created something beautiful that other people could relate and resonate with. So if we think about, artists like that, like Frida Kahlo, or we think about, activists and people like Martin Luther King that channeled their anger or any of these things into things that actually created a change, that actually created something that was good from that energy. They could have taken another route. They could have simply, just wallowed in that and not created anything, not been able to channel that energy or ground it. But they chose to learn how to work with big energy. And for people that learn how to work with big energy, we know that a lot of times those big energies are actually our strongest fuel. So for the longest time for me, sadness and anger and that kind of emotion was actually my greatest fuel. I actually enjoy to listen to music that's a little bit more low vibe than high vibe. and things like that, because it creates more emotion. And in that emotion, there's a lot of energy, sometimes more energy than you would experience in the vibes of joy, in the vibes of happiness. So I wanted to talk about that here today, especially since we've been talking about manifestation, that when we hear, whether it's myself or anyone else talk about high vibe, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in joy all of the time. You have to be in happiness all of the time. You can actually learn to ground your big energy in a way that can create so much more quickly than you would ever imagine. But you have to be able to work with that and not be scared of those energies, not resist those energies, because when we resist energy and we resist things in our life, they show up more and more and more to show us and to teach us how to ground them, how to work with them. So they're going to only show up louder and louder. But when you learn to work with them, when you learn how to ground your big energy, when these emotions show up, it's almost like a visitor coming over. It's like, oh, you're here again, anger, and I know how to work with you. Like, come on in, let's do this. And it's almost like you're not scared, you're not worried. It's almost like it's a positive thing in a way. It's hard to explain that, but when you're not resistant to anything, you accept anything that happens. And our experience in life is really to show us to accept more and more, to be able to hold more and more of everything that is, because there is nothing wrong with anything that is happening. It's actually perfect. There's nothing wrong happening here. Even when we experience the anger or the sadness or any of those things, we're meant to experience those. They're showing us something. It's communication for something. And everything that is happening for a reason. It's not happening to hurt you. It's happening to be good for you, to be something that propels you into growing closer and closer to your alignment of who you are and what everything is. And one day you can accept everything for what it is, and nothing can sway you. No storm can take you down. You're ready for it all because you know how to ground it. You know what it is, and you're not scared of it. Oftentimes we resist things and we hold shame and guilt because we're fearful of things. We're fearful of what it could mean. We're fearful of what other people could think. We're fearful of what it could do to us. But the more that we accept something and we allow it to be, that fear subsides, because nothing is actually here to hurt you. It's here to help you. So I hope that this message found you well. If it resonated with you, if you got something out of it, please leave me a like down below. It really helps my channel. It's a free and easy way that you can help my channel. And share this video with other people if you can do that. I would really appreciate that. And if you are new here, I hope that you will subscribe and be part of School of Scarlett. I would love to have you here. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and come back for my daily intuitive messages. If you're a returning subscriber and you've made it this far, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you all. And if you would like to connect with me on another level for a one-on-one session or a course, you can find that information in my description and in the pinned comment down below. I love you all, and I will catch you on our next message.